November the 24th, 1971. A man boards a plane with a briefcase. A few hours later, he hijacks the aircraft, collects $200,000, jumps into the darkness, and disappears forever. More than 50 years later, nobody knows who he was. November the 24th, 1971. A quiet man wearing a black suit walked into Portland International Airport and bought a one-way ticket under the name Dan Cooper. He looked completely ordinary. Nothing about him attracted attention. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't loud. He simply boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 like any other passenger. No one on that plane could have imagined they were about to become part of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. Shortly after takeoff, the man calmly handed a folded note to a flight attendant. At first, she thought it was just another passenger trying to flirt with her. She slipped it into her purse without reading it. The man quietly leaned toward her and said, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." She opened it. The message was short and terrifying. He claimed he was carrying an explosive device inside his briefcase. When she sat beside him, he briefly opened the case, just enough for her to see what appeared to be wires and red cylinders. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't threatening people. He remained completely calm. His demands were simple: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting when the plane landed. The aircraft was redirected to Seattle. While the passengers had no idea what was happening, authorities rushed to gather the ransom money and the parachutes. After landing, the money was delivered. The passengers were released safely. Only the crew remained on board. Then something even stranger happened. D.B. Cooper ordered the plane back into the air. He instructed the pilots to fly low and slow toward Mexico. It was a cold, stormy November night. Somewhere over the forests of the Pacific Northwest, Cooper opened the aircraft's rear staircase. Strong winds rushed into the cabin. And then he jumped into darkness, into heavy rain, carrying $200,000 in cash. No one saw him land. No one heard from him again. When the plane landed, he was gone. The FBI immediately launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Agents searched forests, rivers, and mountains. Hundreds of suspects were investigated. Fingerprints were analyzed. Witnesses were interviewed. Years passed, but there was no arrest, no body, no confirmed identity. In 1980, a young boy made a surprising discovery along the Columbia River. Buried in the sand were thousands of dollars in decaying $20 bills. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to D.B. Cooper. It was the first real physical evidence ever found, but it only deepened the mystery. How did the money get there? What happened to the rest? And what happened to Cooper himself? Over the decades, countless theories have emerged. Some believe he died during the jump. Others believe he survived and quietly lived the rest of his life under another identity. Several suspects have been proposed. None have ever been proven. In 2016, after more than 4 decades of investigation, the FBI officially closed the active case, not because it was solved, but because there were simply no more leads to follow. More than 50 years later, one simple question remains unanswered. Who was D.B. Cooper? Was he a military veteran, an experienced skydiver, a criminal mastermind, or simply the luckiest fugitive in history? Nobody knows. And perhaps that's exactly why the story refuses to die. No confession, no arrest, no final answer. Just one man, one plane, $200,000, and one of the greatest mysteries the world has ever known. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Big Stories in 5 minutes for more incredible true stories, unsolved mysteries, and world-changing events. Because sometimes, the greatest stories are the ones without an ending.